Welcome, beautiful soul. My name is Rose, and I'm so happy you're here with me for this reading. Before we begin, take a slow breath and allow yourself to become still for a moment. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to think about who this message could be about. Simply listen and let the parts that resonate naturally find you. Today's message is deeply connected to someone who has feelings they have struggled to express. There is something about this connection that feels unfinished. It feels like there were conversations that never happened, emotions that were swallowed instead of spoken, and moments when this person wanted to tell you what was really happening inside them, but chose silence instead. And if you have been wondering why they suddenly became quieter, more guarded, or emotionally unavailable, this reading may help you understand what was happening beneath the surface. Remember, this is a collective reading. Take what resonates with your situation and gently leave the rest behind. Now let's get into the energy. The first thing I'm picking up is that this person did not necessarily stop opening up because they stopped caring. In fact, for some of you, it may be the complete opposite. Their feelings became stronger than they knew how to handle. Sometimes people become silent when they care too much, especially when they don't know where those feelings are going to lead them. They may begin questioning everything. What if I say too much? What if they don't feel the same way? What if I become vulnerable and end up getting hurt? Those thoughts can create emotional walls. And I feel this person has built quite a few walls around themselves. They may appear calm from the outside. They may act as though everything is completely normal. They might even make you believe that they have moved on emotionally. But beneath that surface, there is a lot more happening. This person has been thinking about things they never told you. There are words they rehearsed in their mind but never found the courage to say. There were probably moments when they wanted to reach out, explain themselves, or tell you what was truly bothering them. But when the opportunity came, they backed away. Why? Because vulnerability scares them. This person may have learned somewhere along the way that showing emotions makes you vulnerable to disappointment. Perhaps they experienced a relationship where their honesty was not respected. Maybe they opened their heart before and felt rejected. Maybe they trusted someone who eventually used their vulnerability against them. Whatever the reason, they learned to protect themselves. And now, when something begins to feel emotionally important, their first instinct is not always to move closer. Their first instinct may be to protect themselves. That is why you may have noticed a strange pattern. They come closer. Then they pull away, they become warm, then suddenly distant, they talk openly, then they disappear into their own world. And this inconsistency may have left you wondering, what did I do? But this message strongly suggests that not everything was about you. Some of their distance came from an internal struggle. They were fighting with their own emotions. There is also a sense that this person did not want you to see how deeply affected they actually were. They may have wanted to appear stronger than they felt. Maybe they convinced themselves that they could control the situation by saying less. If I don't tell them how I feel, I can't get hurt. If I don't become too attached, I can walk away whenever I want. If I keep my emotions hidden, I remain in control. But emotions don't always work that way. The more they tried to suppress what they felt, the more it stayed inside them. And because this is where the energy becomes interesting, because I feel they have replayed certain moments with you. They remember conversations. They remember your expressions. They remember little things you probably didn't realize they noticed. There may have been something you said casually that stayed with them for a very long time. And sometimes when they are alone, those memories return. They may wonder what would have happened if they had been more honest. What if they had told you what they were feeling? What if they had stayed instead of withdrawing? What if they had trusted you instead of assuming the worst? These questions may be sitting quietly inside them. And there is another important message here. This person may have been afraid of being misunderstood. They didn't know how to explain what was happening inside their mind, so instead of explaining it badly, they chose not to explain anything. That created silence, and silence created distance, and distance created confusion. You may have looked at their behavior and thought they simply didn't care, but they may have been thinking, I don't know how to say this. That doesn't mean their behavior didn't hurt you. It may have hurt you deeply, and your feelings matter too. This reading isn't here to excuse someone for not communicating. It is here to help you understand the energy behind their behavior. Because sometimes understanding someone doesn't mean accepting everything they did. You can understand their fear while still recognizing that their silence affected you. You can have compassion for their struggles without putting your own emotional needs aside, and I feel that is part of your lesson in this connection. You are learning not to chase clarity from someone who refuses to communicate. You are learning to listen to actions as well as words. You are learning that love should not constantly leave you guessing. But there is something else coming through strongly. This person may still want to open up. They haven't necessarily closed the emotional door forever. In fact, I feel they have been considering how they could communicate with you without feeling completely exposed. They may start with something small, a simple message, a casual conversation, a question that appears ordinary but has a deeper meaning behind it. They may test the emotional atmosphere before saying what they actually want to say. For some of you, this person may not suddenly come forward with a dramatic confession. Instead, they may slowly become more comfortable around you again. They may begin revealing little pieces of themselves, and you may notice that their communication feels different, more honest, more intentional, less guarded, because they are realizing something. Keeping everything inside did not protect them from their feelings. It only prevented them from experiencing the connection fully. And there is a possibility that they regret some of the silence. They may regret moments when you needed reassurance and they gave you distance. They may regret making you question your worth. They may regret pretending that they were unaffected. But pride can make it difficult for people to admit these things. So they may not say, "I regret hurting you." They might show it differently. They might become more attentive. They might try to repair something without directly explaining why. They might suddenly remember details about you. They may check on you. They may become curious about what is happening in your life. And if this person does return or reconnect, pay attention to consistency rather than intensity. Anyone can appear emotional for one moment. Real change is shown through repeated actions. If they genuinely want to open up again, they will gradually become more transparent. They will not expect you to do all the emotional work. They will meet you somewhere in the middle, and I feel you are also changing. You are no longer the same person who waited endlessly for an explanation. Something inside you has matured. You may still care. You may still wonder about them. But you are beginning to understand that your peace cannot depend on whether another person chooses to communicate. That is powerful. Because when you stop chasing answers, you create space for truth to reveal itself naturally. And sometimes when you stop trying to pull someone toward you, they finally realize the weight of your absence. This person may have assumed you would always be there, but your energy is shifting. You are becoming more focused on yourself, your own life, your own growth, your own emotional stability. And that shift may be something they notice. There is also a message here about timing. Some conversations cannot happen when both people are emotionally overwhelmed. Sometimes people need time to understand themselves before they can explain themselves to someone else. This person may be going through that process now. They are beginning to understand why they shut down, why they became defensive, why they avoided certain conversations, why they chose distance instead of vulnerability. And the realization may be uncomfortable because eventually they have to admit that their silence did not solve the problem. It simply postponed the conversation. So if you are wondering what they would say if they could speak without fear, the energy feels something like this. I didn't stop caring. I stopped knowing how to express what I was feeling. I was afraid that if I opened up, everything would change. I didn't know how to explain myself. I thought distance would make things easier, but it didn't. And perhaps the most important message is this. Their inability to communicate was never proof that you were not worthy of being loved. Please remember that. Someone else's emotional limitations do not define your value. You do not have to become smaller to make someone comfortable. You do not have to silence your needs because someone else is afraid of emotional intimacy. And you do not have to spend your life decoding mixed signals. If this person truly wants another opportunity with you, let their actions demonstrate that. Let them show you that they are ready to communicate differently. Let them prove that they can meet you with honesty instead of confusion. You deserve a connection where you can speak without fear, where vulnerability is respected, where silence is not used as punishment, where distance is not the only response to difficult emotions. And if this person is meant to return to your life, I feel the next chapter will require something different from both of you. Not perfection, just honesty. No more pretending. No more hiding behind pride. No more expecting the other person to read your mind. And if they finally open up, listen carefully, but also listen to yourself. Ask yourself how their words make you feel. Ask whether their actions support those words. And most importantly, ask whether this connection gives you peace. Because the right relationship should not require you to abandon your peace just to keep someone close. As we come to the end of this reading, I want you to take one final breath. If someone came to your mind while listening, perhaps there is something unresolved between you. Maybe their silence has confused you. Maybe their distance has hurt you. Maybe you have spent nights wondering what changed. But remember, you don't need to force an answer. What is hidden can reveal itself in time. And what is truly meant for you will not require you to constantly chase it. If this person has genuinely been holding back because of fear, they will eventually have to confront that fear themselves. You cannot do that work for them. Your role is to remain true to yourself. Keep your heart open, but keep your boundaries strong. Keep your compassion, but don't abandon your standards. And most importantly, don't mistake someone's silence for a statement about your worth. Sometimes people become quiet because they are fighting battles inside themselves that you cannot see. But your job is not to rescue them from those battles. Your job is to choose yourself while allowing life to reveal what comes next. This is Rose, and I hope this reading brought you a little clarity and peace. If this message resonated with you, take what feels meaningful and gently leave the rest behind. Until our next reading, protect your energy, trust your intuition, and remember, deserve honesty, consistency, and a love that feels safe enough to speak.